Welcome to the Growing Gorillas podcast. I'm Kisa Davison.
And I'm Travis Davison.
And this podcast is all about parenting. The ups, the downs.
The in-betweens.
We have absolutely no idea what we're doing.
But likely neither do you.
So kick back, relax, and enjoy.
Special thank you to the Cleared Hot podcast for use of the studio and Andy Stump for all of his invaluable information.
If you'd like to learn more about Cleared Hot, visit clearedhotpodcast.com.
Let's do this.
Drink LMNT. LMNT is our podcast sponsor today. It's a healthy alternative to sugary electrolyte drinks. Every grab-and-go stick pack replaces all the essential electrolytes that you need with no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, or any other junk. I drink LMNT every day, and so does Travis, to support...
Because it's delicious.
Well, I was going to say, I drink it to support my hydration. I would say my low-carb diet, my fast, my workouts, etc., but none of those things are true. I just drink it because it's good, and I need water in the morning. My favorite flavor is definitely the orange one, and the green one, and the pink one.
Yes, you're saying raspberry, orange, and lime.
Correct.
Which I don't disagree with you on. However, the watermelon is delicious.
And let's not forget the chili lime is good with tequila, as is the habanero mango, I think. The two spicy ones are really good with tequila. Not recommended in the morning, but still good with tequila.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of like, I guess, counterbalances.
Totally. It's a math equation. It works out somehow.
I don't think Rob Wolf necessarily is going to stand behind that.
I know, but he's not here, so...
That's true.
I'm the official on the subject. But listen, here's the cool part. As a member of our Growing Gorillas community, LMNT has a very, very, very cool offer for you. You can let them know that you are interested in trying out a sample pack. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping so you can get yours.
Which is what, like $5?
I don't know.
I think it's like $5. Anyways.
I just charge things on my credit card. I don't look at it.
Cheap.
So here's the URL. drinklmnt.com/growing-gorillas. Now remember, growing gorillas, you have to spell all the way out, and there's 2 G's right in the middle, so don't screw it up. drinklmnt.com/growing-gorillas.
And in the words of Stella Davison, hydrate or dihydrate.
I feel like LMNT should adopt that as their new
Well,
tagline.
they just did.
Okay. Hey. This week, we talked to some good friends of ours, Aaron and Courtney Westphal. Aaron is married to Courtney.
And Courtney's married to Aaron.
That's what they told us in their bio. It was really adorable.
Aaron's also one of my black belts.
And Courtney has been teaching for 15 years in the public schools. I'm pretty sure all 15 years of those have been in early elementary.
I think kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten, which... Can we just have a moment of silence for kindergarten teachers worldwide?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Well, Aaron's job's not a whole lot easier.
No,
I mean, he's
not.
a sheriff's deputy.
And he's also the lead defensive tactics instructor for his agency.
Yeah. So pretty impressive resume.
They have 2 girls, and their youngest girl actually has some special needs that you'll hear about, the Williams syndrome.
Very rare disorder or disorder?
I think disorder, genetic disorder.
Yeah.
No, it's not genetic.
But
it's
one of the...
Well, they're going to tell us all about it.
Yep. One of the sweetest girls you'll meet.
And very, very honest.
To a fault.
To a fault. So we hope you enjoy this podcast episode. Okay, so here's how this works.
Okay.
All your dirty secrets. Just kidding. I don't want to know your dirty secrets.
Ours aren't that exciting.
Welcome to the Truth or Dare podcast.
Check, please.
So, no, this is how this works. We are just talking about parenting, jiu-jitsu and parenting, life and parenting, children and parenting.
Difficult parenting situation.
How hard it is, how fun it is, how fulfilling it is, how all those things. So really there's no format. It's just that we're friends and we're talking. We just happen to have headphones and microphones.
Cameras on you.
Yeah, just ignore that
And
part.
I'm dressed.
Really, Kisa's vision for the Growing Gorillas podcast was there's not really a resource out there for parents, as you guys know. I mean, and it's not easy. And so she thought it'd be awesome if there was a podcast where parents, hopefully like young parents or parents to be, could listen to other parents talk and just learn from their experience. So there's no right or wrong. I mean, we're going to put you on the spot a bunch, but
I like making
Is there
Courtney
editing?
nervous. There's a lot of editing.
Okay, good.
But not really. We have editing capabilities, but we don't do it. So
Okay.
there's that. Just pretend like you could be edited at any given moment, but we probably won't.
and we do the intros for all the podcasts later, so you don't have to worry about like
Who you are,
Who
what
you
you
are.
do, and all that.
we'll let people know like, oh, Courtney's a school teacher, Aaron's a sheriff's deputy, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Easy peasy.
Easy.
And it's waist up pretty much.
I mean,
It's
Just
already
checking.
unless you
It's
want to
already
like
recording.
throw a leg up there or something, you can. Courtney,
I hate
we've
to
been
break
to
the
Vegas together. I know what you're capable of.
and I hate to break the news to you,
Damn,
but we've
COVID.
already started. Like the podcast is already going right
It's already rolling.
Fantastic.
COVID ruined the Vegas trip for last. It was all planned.
I
We were there.
know.
It was going to happen.
No, it was so good.
So-
But we all took advantage of the sunshine. You guys just got back from Cabo, right?
Cancun.
Cancun.
Oh, Cancun. And we just got back from Costa Rica.
And that was
that's
your
why we're all tan.
first trip away from the girls for an extended period of time, where they're in one country and you're in another country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that?
Didn't hit me until you said a different country.
Yeah, it was a little nerve wracking because then the idea of like having our will and all the arrangements, because God forbid the one in a million thing happens, so you have to be ready for every contingency. So actually doing that's kind of like, oh, well, it's Debbie Downer, but then focusing on the trip too.
But you do have a will in place.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. That's something I think a lot of people don't do. And I think if you have kids, you kind of have to do it. We finally did it because of the kids, mostly because of Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah, death is like a huge taboo in American culture. I just see it all the time. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's the elephant in the room, talking about having a will. It's like, you know, especially even with our parents and just different things, like those are hard conversations to have, but they're needed conversations because,
So did you guys have the will in place before you went to Cancun?
yes.
Like far before? Like a long time years ago?
So when we had children, absolutely, that's when it came to us like, we need to have things in place because that's when reality hits. Yeah, we are responsible for these children. So we got to be good parents.
They did it way before we did.
But it
Nobody-
needs to be updated.
Yeah, it does need to be updated.
Nobody knows that though, Kisa.
Oh, sorry. Now everybody knows it.
But there we go. We're giving advice to young couples.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like when you have children, and
Get a
even if
will.
you don't have children, you know, and what do you want to have happen if God forbid something does happen? You know, what are your wishes? And then have you discussed those things with your own parents and other relatives?
So I know you're the,
Coroner.
yeah.
I'm one of the corners. Yeah.
But aren't you kind of like the best coroner in
Well,
the
yeah.
Flathead Valley? I mean,
I don't know about that.
Are you the best one looking at dead people?
It's not fun looking at.
His name is Dr. Death.
Yeah, that's a
I
joke.
just threw up.
That is a
little bit.
joke at work. Yes, actually, that there was a retiree that Ernie. He had that nickname, and apparently I took that over. So
That's
So-
quite the mantle.
In that, I mean, when you show up, and do you have to deal with any of that, or you're just dealing with the person who died, how they died, and then what happens to them next? Isn't really any of your
correct. So I look
Business.
at cause and manner of someone passing. So I'll go to the scene. You know, there's an investigation to see what's going on, and a lot of times that's with law enforcement if it's, you know, like a homicide or something like that, or a car accident. But other than that, you know, basic natural passings, you know, but we'll look into the cause and manner. But after that, when your loved one will go to a funeral home, that's where people are often just, they're lost. They don't know what to do. They haven't made any arrangements. Emotions are running high. I mean, grief,
course.
all these things are happening, and they always, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do,
Right.
because they never planned. And even the ones that do plan, they'll say, I never thought today would be the day. I never thought today
Right.
was going to be, and it's like, yeah, so it's hard it's hard.
I just found out recently that there's a kid at one of our local high schools who's a single mom, of course, raising him, and she passed away. And so now here he is staying with friends of the family, but it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of family around. And that was my first thought was, man, she clearly didn't have a will in place. But I think when you're a single mom trying to raise a kid, that's probably not on the forefront of your mind.
It's not a high priority for a lot of people because you're busy. You're just day-to-day life. And like I said, it's the elephant in the room where a lot of people just don't want to think about that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're in a unique position, right? Because you're seeing death on a regular basis. But I think even us in our late 40s, you're just not thinking about that. Like that's not so, you don't walk around thinking about, oh, I wonder if I'm going to die today.
We're in our mid 40s, by the way, not our late 40s.
We're going to be 47. Technically, I think that's
No one knew
that's
that until you
late.
said it.
I think 40
No,
to
49 and a half is like late. We're mid 40s.
Okay, we're mid 40s.
Okay, we'll move
40s.
back. Let's go back to death. That's a much happier
could say we're
subject than
early
my age.
40s.
Early 40s, yeah. But you're absolutely right, Travis. Like I see it a lot more, and I like how Andy always put it, like touch points. I like that phrase. In my job, yes, I see it a lot. But then average people, how many times do you know somebody in your life that has passed? And what stage are you in your life? As we get older, more people we know are going to pass. But as we're younger, that's very rare. So mentally, you're not thinking about that. Especially look at we're talking about young couples, 20s, early 20s having children. I mean, that's just not even a thought unless there is tragedy within their own lives and their own
Right.
families. But for the most part, people aren't thinking about that.
Yeah. No, I remember like when my first grandfather passed and my second grandfather passed, and in a way it was fortunate because I was in the hospital with my dad's dad, and then I was kind of seeing it firsthand from my dad's perspective as far as coordinating it and the funeral and what's involved. And it was like, man, this is definitely like a big event. Like this isn't like, oh, somebody dies. It's not like a pet, you don't just go bury him in the backyard and it's like it's done the next day. So yeah, I mean, I think a will is absolutely super important, especially if you care about the people around you, because once you're gone, but then somebody else is going to have to do all that
Right.
heavy lifting. And the more of it you can do for them ahead of time and let them know, hey, these are my wishes. Here's who I want to take care of my kids. If something were to happen to my wife and I, here's in order of where the kids go, all of that stuff. And it's not fun to think about, but
Well, and that brings up an interesting point too, because like us, y'all have a special needs daughter, you have a special needs son, you have a special needs daughter. And when we were laying out our will, the kids were much younger. He's an adult now, and even still, we need to update it because he still, if we died,
Requires
would
care.
required care. But we had to really think about, okay, so, his sister, Emily, would take care of the kids. But then we also have there's so much that goes medically into caring for Ted that you almost don't, I wouldn't wish that on any one person.
Yeah.
And so you almost need a team of people.
That's a very good point.
Do you have a similar situation, or you're going to offload
Everything on my sister.
Right. Your sister gets everything.
Gets it all.
Gets it all.
Courtney's sister.
Yeah.
Hook, line,
Well, they
and
do
sinker.
not have children.
Yeah, they don't have children yet. So they have 2 dogs that they consider their children. And we
Right.
tease them all the time. And they hint about it, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, Keith and I refer to our dogs as our toddlers now, since all of our kids have
my
basically
God.
left our house.
Every time I turn around. And just like with the actual human children, they're fine until I get on the phone or need to go pee.
Yeah.
And
they're
then
there.
all
They
of a
know.
sudden
They
they're
know.
like, oh, well, now's the time for us to knock something over or sniff you.
Yeah. They test the boundaries just like
Jerks.
our children did. Yeah.
All jerks. So how did you handle all of that? You talked to your sister, obviously, and said,
Well, you're the
Okay.
one. You're the one. And of course, she said yes. The scariest part for us when we went to Cancun is that we were all coming back on the same plane. So I was worried that if the plane went down,
who's we all? Like you two together?
Yeah,
Or
my
and
sister
and
and
sister-in-law,
husband and-
brother-in-law,
Ooh.
Oh, well, how does that work if
grandparents
if you're,
and other people. Like, we got the runner-ups, grandparents are like,
Runner-ups,
what?
yeah.
Or runner-ups,
The grandparents, if they know this, they should make a rule that you guys can't travel together anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I think that I wanted to do just separate planes. I wanted Aaron and I to be on one plane and Lacey and Jim on the other plane. That way, if something did, but everybody said that was ridiculous. So we were just going to do it. But I did talk to a friend who's a fellow co-teacher of mine. And I just said, hey, if something was to happen, I want you to have my girls. And she said, yeah, absolutely. We would definitely step in and do that.
yeah, because now that we got to update our stuff, because as my parents and her parents are older,
Right.
That's hard to, if they were to try to take that mantle. And then, so that's another thing, a young parent, you got to think about those things as well.
yeah.
So that's, we'll get that updated and kind of figure that out now.
That, and let's be honest, not every grandparent is cut out
No.
to be a willed parent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I see it so much just within the school district, within the schools. I see not necessarily that the parents have died, but just the grandparents taking over now.
Right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but
Yeah, and they're in their, I mean, sometimes as young as 50s, but
60s,
60s,
I've seen
70s. Yeah.
And they're trying to raise these little kids. They thought they were done. And now they're starting all over.
Courtney, you teach kindergarten, yeah?
Yeah. 15 years of kindergarten.
15
God
years
bless
of
you.
kindergarten?
Yeah.
I don't know how she
Travis
does it.
is on like his 15th class of micro monkeys.
I've been teaching kids for 15 years as well.
You have, but
I currently teach 23 and 4-year-olds twice a week
yeah.
with no other adults. So
That's-
I feel your pain.
That's how you lost all your hair.
But my classes are 45 minutes long.
I was going to say.
And you can be
So-
done. See,
And
Mine
you're
are
not-
6.
And you're not trying to teach them their ABCs or,
No, and it's 2 days a week, not 5.
yeah.
So
Courtney
not really,
wants to trade you.
not really,
is what she's saying.
not really apples to apples.
No.
But we both are underpaid, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Underpaid,
Underappreciated.
overworked, underappreciated.
well, I think another stress is not only the kids, but then you're dealing with the parents.
Oh, 100%.
And
That's a bigger stress.
Oh, I've got
And
stories.
each parent, set of parents, or you name it. She's had the types of students or the parenting, and it's just, and she has to be neutral and do her job. And hats off to you for doing that, because that's stressful.
I mean, that's often a conversation that we have with kids coaches in the gym, new aspiring, or maybe we just coerce them into coaching children. But in
love
any
it.
case, we say, hey, you know what? The kids are actually a piece of cake. It's the parents and the families and, just kind of the outer zone of the child that sometimes is the biggest challenge. And to have those parents day in and day out for an entire school year with no option to cancel their membership if you just don't want to handle it
just
anymore.
kick them out.
Yeah, you can't say there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the
Well, and
ass.
with kindergarten, the parents are still excited, especially if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
their first child entering the school. They want to be a part of everything. They want to know every little step, what every program you're doing. And then as they get older, the child gets older, the parents pull back a little bit more. So being in that first year of, introductory to school.
Do you see a big difference between the first child in the family versus like the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th child in the family?
Huge.
They're-
You can totally tell.
Those parents are basically coming to a slow roll and booting
Yep.
their kids out of the car.
Yep.
I mean,
I feel like I did that. I feel like that was me.
I was going to say, I think we experienced that for sure.
100%.
Well, that's why we forward rolls. You teach them the forward rolls. So when you kick them out of the van, it's just like, all right, you're good.
Forward rolls and brake falls. Unfortunately, Keisa didn't always stop the car all the way.
Poor Joe.
Oh, you just made me think of Joe and the Kmart in the clothing rack. You just made me think of that.
Lord.
What was that story?
Oh, there's so many stories of Joe getting lost. Where's Joe?
He didn't
Kind of
get.
like a
It's
where's
not
Otto.
getting lost when you run away and hide.
That's true.
Sorry,
And I don't
just
really feel like he was running away and hiding so much as he was just like, hey, I'm going to go do my own thing. But he didn't tell me he was going to go do his own thing. And
Yeah.
he was 4 or 3.
Sounds
Or
like bad
7.
parenting to me.
It was. I admit. I admit.
But he was found every time.
yes.
And I will say this about like the big department stores. They're actually really good at finding missing children. So like when you report a missing child at like a Walmart or something like that, they like lock the doors and create a grid system with the employees. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
And they can't touch the child. They have to like herd it. Herd it. As in it. I
Oh,
mean,
you're saying
my
Walmart,
son-
so that means they're on one of the display bikes and they're riding it.
Yeah.
Seems like you've heard this story before.
with a handful of DVDs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eyes as big as the moon.
At one time, was it Kohl's where they caught him with the sunglasses under the clothing
Yeah,
rack?
Cole's sunglasses under the clothing rack. He had like 10 sunglasses he was trying on under the clothing rack. Walmart was the biggest deal because they shut that whole damn store down, and which meant there was like a horde of people at the door, and it was the old Walmart in Evergreen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So the customer service where the frantic mother is standing with her other children who are hungry and, you know, maybe a little dirty too. So that was that mom. We're also at the front door, and then there's this whole stack of people who can't get out because, you know, security just wants to make sure there's not like a little redhead in their bag. And then come down the aisle is Joe on his Hot Wheel, borrowed from the bike department, with a handful of DVDs under.
It brings a
and
whole
then-
new meaning to Hot Wheel.
And then it's just this like, I think there were 3 or 4 Walmart employees on either side that had flanked them and they were just kind of herding him down. And he was like, oh shit, I'm in so much trouble.
Pedal faster. Pedal faster.
And of course they had to do the sweet mom like, oh honey, I'm so happy you're safe. And then we got into the car, I was like, you little shit. I swear to God, I swear to God.
Did he do it again?
I will leave you. Yeah, he did do it again after that.
Yeah.
At Target, I think.
He
And then he almost drowned shortly after that too. So 9 lives.
still
Joe's got
alive.
9 lives. Yep, still alive, still kicking, still cute as cute can be.
almost 18.
I do it all over
Oh, my
again.
gosh.
I know. Okay, but this
Yeah.
isn't about our children. This is
Okay.
about
Sorry.
your children.
Sorry.
So
Yeah. our-
Mackenzie is now
13.
shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah. And we've already had some fun issues already. So
Wait, so she's 7th grade or 8th grade?
She's in 7th.
7th grade.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
13. Do they have school dances in the day of COVID?
No.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
Yes.
Our
Yeah.
kids never wanted to go to the school dances. Joe did.
Joe did.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember some of his outfits.
They were all crazy. And then Olivia is
She's in 3rd grade.
3rd grade, 9.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
What happened to there?
I don't know.
I want to go back.
I know.
She's still pretty small, petite. She'll always be that
Yeah.
way because there we go. For the audience, she has Williams syndrome. So she's always going to be smaller.
Did you guys find out that she had Williams syndrome when she was still in utero or
No.
after
so
she was born?
when I was pregnant with Olivia, they kept measuring me and they kept saying, gosh, she's just not measuring up. Are you sure you got your dates right? And I was like, I'm pretty sure we do. And so we went back and we did every single test possible. I saw specialists after specialists. I had ultrasounds every single week, and they're just like, well, maybe she's just small. Maybe she's small like you.
How big was she born?
4 pounds, 10 ounces.
And she was full term?
full
term.
term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same size as the twins.
Yeah, but they were 2 months early.
Yeah, I mean, just
Just
Yeah.
tiny. She had all this skin that she
Aw.
hadn't grown into yet.
I remember that.
Yeah. And we had to buy preemie clothes for her, but they were too big.
I remember that too.
Basically could have got clothes out of the toys section for dolls. and
Right.
they would've- they
Yeah.
would've fit her.
Yeah,
Little
Mackenzie had doll
Because their
clothes
little heads are like barely the
Yeah.
size of.
Yeah, I remember carrying the twins around like
just
that.
like that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So when was she diagnosed? Like right after birth
She
or?
was right around 1 year.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We didn't know. They tested for everything. But because Williams syndrome is so rare, it's like 1 in 10,000.
And is it a genetic?
It is. It's a chromosomal thing, but it can happen to anybody.
Oh, interesting.
And
So it's
it's-
not like it's passed down, but
No.
it's a chromosomal
No, it's
anomaly
just-
that happens during.
Yep.
whatever
Yeah.
development at some point.
Right.
development, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And it doesn't discriminate between male, female. It doesn't discriminate between races. It's just the luck of the draw.
And so what's the right word for this? Features of Williams syndrome.
So a lot of it is, it has a couple aspects. It's got a health aspect of it. And so like cardiovascular disease, a lot of children that have Williams syndrome will end up having open heart surgery. We have to watch her thyroid, her calcium levels, and there's just a full list of things that we have to constantly check. But also there comes the cognitive piece, and so there's definitely delays cognitively. Also, you'll find with Williams syndrome is their fine motor skills are lacking.
So in terms of like handwriting,
Yeah.
buttoning, you know,
Yeah.
all those,
Yep.
we worked with Ted.
Is it normal for them to be as sweet as Olivia, or is that just Olivia?
Wait a second. I have a different experience. Is it normal for them to be as bossy as Olivia? I walk into my own gym and she's like, that's not where your shoes go. It's like,
Well,
Listen,
I think
kid.
she's just kind of been raised
She thinks
at the
she
gym,
owns the
so
gym.
that's just a second home for her now.
The first
So-
question I get every time is, "Where's Hank? Where's Sabra? They're at home. Why?"
Why are they not
or
here?
it was an open mat. I don't think it was rolling in the new year, but an open mat. And I can't remember who I'm underneath, like fighting for my life. And she's like, hey, Kisa, you're not doing very good. I was like, Olivia.
She's brutally honest. So
Yeah.
Most Williams syndrome individuals that have Williams syndrome are overly social.
Oh,
And that
interesting.
can be a positive, but can also be a negative. And so a lot of them will have an advanced vocabulary, which can also be a positive and a negative, but they're overly social. And so
So-
they will go up to anybody and
Stranger
just talk to
danger.
them.
Yep. That
Does
actually
your
makes
mom have Williams syndrome?
well. She hasn't been diagnosed,
Because she will talk to anybody about anything at any time.
but
Yeah.
that is true about Olivia. I never thought about that, but she is one of the most friendly.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
walk up to everyone at the gym,
She's
start up a
always
conversation.
And she knows people by name. And that's one of the things that her memory is she's really good with that. She'll see someone's face. She might have to hear their name a couple times, but then she'll have it.
Yep.
And she will greet them by their name and remember things that you talked about months ago.
That's both amazing and terrifying.
Yeah.
She can fixate on things. So one of the things, like if you say, "Hey, so and so's having a birthday party on Saturday," do not tell her like
Until Friday.
Till Friday, because otherwise, when's the party? When's the party? When's the
Right.
party? And it
I
just
think I've experienced that
Yeah.
with her before.
you can't. She's just on that loop, and you can't
Yeah.
break it. And it so
And
so
kids
that-
are naturally on that loop anyways.
Sure.
Right.
And she just takes it to a whole nother level. So then you're trying to do your day-to-day business, just life, and you're trying to break that
Yeah.
that OODA loop for her so we can do what we need to do.
Yeah.
So
But she is the sweetest, most
She's
kind.
so sweet. She's so sweet.
Now, in the mornings, it's a little different.
not a morning
She
person.
is a bear in the morning. Oh, people don't believe it.
Yeah,
I
it's-
recorded it to prove to people.
I'm gonna need to see that recording
It's
because I don't know
bad.
if I believe it. Although I think I have seen her when you brought her in for like a 5:30
tired.
maybe.
She's tired and she's just
Grumpy.
got the 1,000-yard stare, and just it takes her a bit. But then when she gets going, she's good. But just that initial.
She doesn't try to hide anything. Like she's not putting on a show for anybody at any time.
I think so.
She's embarrassed. She knows that, like with sensory. So if we touch her hair, she to her it hurts, but she's embarrassed by it. And so if someone else will start doing her hair, she's going to fight it because she doesn't want people to know that it bothers her or that it hurts her. And then when you build that relationship,
Then she'll just tell you.
she'll yell and scream at you to leave her hair alone. It's fine.
So when you
Food and
say
stuff.
it hurts, is it just with her hair? Is like she's overly sensitive?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it just hair follicle,
Hearing.
or is it?
As well.
So in her, we're not hurting her when we comb her hair, but to her senses, it's hurting her. Mm-hmm. Same thing with noises, and so they have like a heightened hearing.
Okay.
And
What about like touch? Like
yeah,
I mean,
sometimes
because she does jujitsu.
yeah, thankfully, the sensory part of touching doesn't affect
Okay.
her. It used to. She did not, when she was a little girl, like baby, she did not like the grass. Anytime you put her in the grass, she would scream and cry and ask, want to be picked up. Now she loves it.
Yeah, and she's very affectionate. Like she hugs and stuff.
yeah.
So she's not.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like with
Some kids on the spectrum.
yeah, some kids that we've had that are on the spectrum. It's like, they don't want to be touched. They don't want to.
Yeah.
Like she'll run up and hug you and. So
Yeah, if she knows you and then everybody's her friend. She wants to give hugs and
It's what's interesting is, Ted with his seizure disorder, neurological disorder, he is as loud can be. That child does not have an inside voice. But noise really used to irritate him when he was, and I could never figure it out. How can you be so loud and be so irritated by loud noises? And it was the opposite for him. For touch, though, is that he needed
that.
Yeah. Those sensory integration, which
Yeah.
I'm sure you run into
Yeah.
a lot as a kindergarten teacher. But he didn't know where he was in space unless
Yes,
he
absolutely.
he was stomping his way through space.
Did you have to get him earmuffs? Because that's what we had to
The
do for
noise
Olivia.
canceling headphones.
No, I don't think we were intelligent enough or good enough parents to think about those things.
We keep
Of course,
a
I didn't know
pair.
if they had those when Ted was that age.
We bought Olivia shooting muffs. And so she has a pair in her
yeah.
classroom. We've got a pair in the house. We've got a pair in my car.
then you can control the volume for it too.
No, it's just like you're shooting.
Yeah,
You're
just
out
like, when
shooting.
we go to the range, just a pair of shooting muffs, just to help dampen the noise. Because fire drills, I remember when she first went to school, we had
She
to
was
like
in preschool.
we had to prep them and like, you need to get her out and they're like, well, we don't know. They're supposed to be a secret and surprise. And like, no, you don't realize you
Her
can't.
first fire drill happened by accident.
Oh, no.
And she was like 4 years old, and one kid pulled the fire alarm. And she had never heard that noise before, and it frightened her to no end. And they had to carry her out. She didn't calm down until probably the evening. I don't think she went to school the next day because she was afraid that everywhere she went, so every time she looks around a room, she notices the fire alarms. And she'll say, "Is that working? Is that going to go off?"
and do you tell her no?
I try to tell her that, well, it's there to protect us. It's there to save us if something was to happen. If it's, it might be loud, and that's okay. Loud's okay. But it's going to protect us.
Does she believe you?
Yeah, she'll let it go for a while.
Yeah.
Make sure the batteries are changed often in your house.
Oh, we just had that about a month ago.
Yeah.
That was, well, not
Did
only
it start in the middle of the night?
We couldn't find it. We couldn't find out which fire alarm
because
it was.
you know how they talk to each other and
Yes,
they bounce
yeah.
around. So we're trying to find, okay, which one's got the bad battery that we, so
And we have a
middle
pretty
of the
big
night,
house.
I'm just,
Every room has one, right?
yeah, every room has one. So there I am climbing a ladder trying to check
Meanwhile-
everyone. She's, in meltdown mode, meltdown. And
Bless her heart.
I mean, because that bugs me. Like, I mean, so if she already has a problem or
Yeah.
is overly sensitive to sound, I mean, those are set up so that even if you don't have those issues, there's nothing more obnoxious than when those start to go off like
Oh
that.
my gosh. So, I mean, obviously, you guys have incentive, right? You love Olivia to the ends of the earth. You would do anything and everything and all the things for her.
Yeah.
But then Mackenzie's 4 years older. And so Mackenzie's 4, Olivia's born. Mackenzie's 5 now, Olivia's diagnosed. Now you know kind of what to wrap your heads around.
Yeah.
You've got information, ideally, from other folks.
Not really, because
No,
it took us probably 6 years before we found anybody that has Williams syndrome.
6 years?
It's that rare.
So you had no idea what to expect?
No.
correct.
Just what we read. And at
Just
that
what you can get off
point,
the
I
internet.
was too afraid to read anything. I did not want to know anything about it. I was too afraid. It took me years before I could read about it.
Yeah, that's something I was going to ask about because, Keith and I oftentimes kind of go back in time because when you're in the midst of it, it's like trauma. Like you're
Absolutely.
just kind of, doing what you need to do to get by.
Yeah.
And so we kind of go back and we look at how each of us kind of reacted to, Ted's diagnosis. 'Cause he was our first. And it was just, I was kind of in your boat. You're like, I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It was like after the first doctor's appointment, I was like shut down. Like I was just like, I don't want to believe what I'm hearing. I don't want to see anymore.
Yep.
I don't want to think about it anymore. And then Kisa was like the polar opposite. And she just dove into like.
Well, because the more I know about it, the more I can control it.
Sure.
Yeah. In
Just
theory.
kidding. I can't really control it, but
Yeah.
it was delusion.
And that was the same for us. Aaron took control. It didn't bother him. If it did, he didn't let on to that.
I was like you though. I wanted to know what's the hand of poker you're dealt. Okay, now what do we have to do? And can we do anything? Can I do anything right now that's going to affect anything? No or yes. I can do these things, and that's what I can do. Like I think it was. We had to go down immediately, or not immediately, but at some point we had to go to Missoula, see a specialist for cardiology to see if she had a hole in her heart, to see if that would
Seattle
require.
Children's Hospital.
So Seattle Children's Hospital. So actually we timed that. Did we go jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
too?
Yeah, we did.
I think there was some where we kind of timed that,
That was
together.
wash. Yeah.
All roads lead to
To
the gym.
Yep.
Anyway, so just going through these steps check by check. Okay, do we have this or do we not have this? Okay, we don't. We lucked out. All right, say our blessings there. Now what's the next piece? And, okay, just going through it. And that's all you can really do at that point.
So have you ever read that there's I don't know if you'd call it a poem. I guess you'd call it a poem. A piece of writing called Welcome to Holland.
Yes, I have.
That was one of the most powerful pieces that I read. And that was the one time that I cracked. Okay, I've cracked a lot of times. But the one time I cracked, I think Ted was, we were probably maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month into diagnosis. And we had seizure control. And one of the moms had posted this in a Yahoo group. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
There were back in the day Yahoo groups. And that whole welcome to Holland. Like, you think you're taking a trip to Italy and it's going to be beautiful and the food is going to be delicious. And
First class the whole way.
First class the whole way, and
Yeah.
you're going to get there, and it's going to be sunny and gorgeous, and then you get off the plane, and you're in fucking Holland. Like, who the fuck plans a trip to Holland? Oh, shit. I wasn't going to cuss.
You did it. Twice.
That was so helpful for me to wrap my head around, okay, wait a second. This might not be what I expected, but it is what it is. And now what can I learn? And what can I do, if anything? Where's what things can I control? What things can I not control?
And you can still enjoy the trip.
Absolutely. You can appreciate the tulips and the clogs or whatever else they have
It's
in
hard.
Holland.
I don't know either.
I don't know either.
Windmills. I don't know.
Windmills, yeah, windmills.
I've not been to Holland, so I can't.
Bridges?
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like they have dikes or something. Like the water dikes.
Dikes? Okay.
I think everyone has those.
I mean,
Every country does. Yeah. Well, I have something to admit that I have told Aaron, but when we first found out that Olivia had Williams syndrome, and I felt absolutely horrible as a parent, but now I see it's normal. I didn't even want to touch her. I didn't want to hold her.
Oh.
I wanted to distance myself, and because I knew she had it, and it was just too much. It was just too overwhelming. But I was nursing, and so I had to. But I got over that in a couple days. But now I look back at it, and I'm like, that's normal. That is normal. You're going to feel that, all different kinds of emotions.
Yeah, you wonder, like, is there something we did? Or
Yeah,
those things.
No matter how many
that's what I'm interested in, because again, I just kind of keep going back to mine and Kisa's experience,
Yeah.
and Kisa knows a lot. Like, she's done all the research, but yet I still feel like there's this part of you where you're like, okay, what did we do wrong?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, it's all my fault. I mean, it's not really,
Yeah.
but I carry that guilt. I mean, I can, it's easy for me to say out loud, no. I understand the science or what they know about the science. And I know that it wasn't actually my responsibility. I didn't do this to my son. And yet there's a little voice always in the back of my head that says, yeah, but you might've maybe done something. You could have done something
Or
different.
our case is a little bit different.
Yeah, this is right.
Ours is a little bit different.
And
Yeah.
so I guess I interrupted you.
No,
I
this is
apologize.
exactly what I was talking about.
But when you felt that initial kind of, I
I don't want to hold my baby.
Was it because you were afraid that she was going to die and you didn't want to connect yourself to her or attach? Or was it
I had
fear?
plans. I had plans for my daughter to, Mackenzie started out, she was the top reading group. She can dance, she can do jiu-jitsu. I mean, she's just the top of everything. And then I get a child with Williams syndrome, and the doctor says, well, she might finish school.
That was
She may not drive. She's going to live with you for the rest of your life.
that one.
My dreams were crushed.
The doctor.
Holland.
So this was a big point. Like if you look at like the kick in the guts, it was zero bedside manner by the doctor
Right.
who told us he was the worst. I mean, the worst. She's in tears and he's
I'm
just
hyperventilating.
Do you want to
so-
call him out in public?
I don't even remember the guy's name.
Okay,
I
good.
mean, I honestly, because I didn't give a shit who this guy was at this point, because he was just such a bad doctor. It's like no bedside manners. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you just dropped a bombshell on us. And his attitude's like, well, she might live a normal life, and she probably have to stay with you the rest of your life. But maybe one day she could maybe get some kind of job. I don't know. Don't care.
I'm sure you could find her a job.
You can find her a job. Just like he just tough.
Okay,
See you later. Yep.
And was it a pediatrician or a...
This was a specialist from the Mayo Clinic, that another hospital that we were at, and he's the one that told it to
Yes.
us first. We didn't have any clue. I mean, we weren't warned of like, hey, there's this, or this. You know, we thought Williams or Down syndrome. We thought like, oh, maybe Turner's. There's just all different kinds of things. But Williams was never brought up. And when I heard syndrome, my heart just, I think I collapsed. Right there.
Why when you heard syndrome?
I think just from being in the schools and seeing kids that have certain syndromes, not all
Right.
syndromes, but they struggle.
So I have a similar understanding of syndrome from I didn't understand what syndrome meant until after all the reading.
Yeah.
I realized that means you don't just have one thing. You have several features of it's a syndrome because it's an array. It's not just like you said health, it's also cognitive. And so your quality of life is affected
Yeah.
in lots of different ways. And the whole time, trying to figure out what Ted's actual diagnosis was, because we really lived until he was about 13. We didn't know exactly what was going on. And so it was all left to my pediatric neurology degree from Google.
WebMD.
Right. Yeah. I also have a veterinary endocrinology degree from Google. So
That's true.
Parents, we do not recommend that.
Right. No, we never recommend Google. But yeah, syndrome was like, I kept thinking to myself, please not this syndrome, please
Yeah.
not this syndrome. And I wondered if that
Yeah.
was the same sort of, shit. Now it's everything.
So when I had my whole life planned for her, she was going to go to college. She was going to do jiu-jitsu right along with Mackenzie. She was also going to do ballet. She was going to, I had all of these dreams for her.
That trip to Italy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then here I am holding her, and I'm like, this isn't my child. I felt like I almost experienced a death, where that child that I had that big dream for, she died.
Yep.
And now I have something else. And I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah, those expectations you have are gone. Now you have to deal with this reality, and then also
In a matter of an hour.
you don't
You're
know.
changing.
She was 1, so we don't know where she's at on
And she's 9 now, or
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
So where's she at functionality?
fierce
How
9.
how bad are the medical conditions going to be?
Right.
Where are we going to be at with this?
So you would have, because how long have you been in the gym now?
9 years.
Yeah,
So this all happened.
Right. You had just had her when you started the gym,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
because you had also just had your big snafu in the field
Yes.
at work.
Yeah.
And I think you were pregnant or just had the baby. I remember you
Probably
telling me
just
this
had her.
when I taught you your first hip bump sweep.
Yes. So
You were a lot
Our-
fatter back then, by the way.
I was
boy.
fat.
I was
it
really
was.
afraid I wasn't going to be able to sweep you,
So-
but you were
See
very
our wedding
kind.
photos.
So a lot of things were going on in our lives, and so my job was crazy because I had transitioned from the drug team back to patrol, and more in a supervisory role, and I was fat. I was trying to figure out, I was like hitting the gym, lifting a lot, weights, just not, and then this, and so like all these things going on. Then I had that deal out in the field, which just like, that also is another trigger point where you're just like, everything that you thought was good and you're just good to go, and that, like, you get a taste of reality, like, no. And
when it rains, it pours.
Yeah. And then walking and finding SBG was finding my zen of putting it all together. So that's where I needed to be, and I'm so glad. I mean, that's a whole nother story, but that's what's going all. And then we get finding out about Olivia, and it was just like, wow.
How was it as husband and wife, like as a relationship? Because this is something too I'm always curious about, because I know for Keith and I,
it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, it was
23 years of smooth sailing. Is that what you wanted to say?
Smooth as some whiskey over there we got, right?
But no, because it creates. I mean, I think relationships are hard, and I think marriage is difficult. Obviously, the numbers bear that out, right? Like marriages fail more often than they succeed, and then when you add, the more you add on to an already difficult proposition, it just becomes harder and harder and harder. And I know for Keith and I mean, it definitely, we struggled, and things that happened, 21 years ago. Like,
the statistic that we were given was that 80% of marriages where there's a special needs child fail.
Wow.
And
I believe it.
Of course, I was like, well, that's not going to be us.
Yeah.
And then I almost divorced him again last week. So.
True story.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. We were to the breaking point. Yeah, we had our own issues at home, and
Aaron kept saying, "Okay, it's fine. She's got it. Let's move on. Let's do what we can do." And I'm just fixated. Like, I couldn't get over it. I couldn't believe it. I was in denial, and Aaron's like, "Okay," and I'm like, "How can you be okay?"
And stress, and she's working full time. I'm working full time. The stress of our jobs, plus raising the kids.
I was saying, because you guys have desk jobs, so they're super cush.
Yeah.
No stress.
Right.
No stress at all being a
None at
sheriff
all.
deputy and a kindergarten teacher.
I'm working, rotating shifts weekly, and that's and trying to juggle all this. It's not easy. You're 100% right. There is no magic book and no magic answers.
Well, and kids without any underlying health conditions is a stress. It's a challenge, and it's a huge responsibility, and figuring out like how you're going to divide that, like who's responsible for what, and what parent feels like they're doing all the heavy lifting and the other parent's just off doing jiu-jitsu all the time. That would be me. But then you add that in, and like in Ted's case, I mean, we had all different crazy things over the years with like ketogenic diets and intermuscular injections at home, and on and on and on and on, and then medication, and then cases on the phone, the insurance companies and pharmacies, and
insurance is the worst.
The worst.
They're horrible.
There's some things that I would say about what I'm going to do to insurance companies, but we're being recorded, so I'm not going to say it.
Karma. It'll come around. Karma.
I hope so. Fiery deaths.
But no, we're in the same boat. It wasn't easy, but you persevere through that, and communication, in marriage advice to young couples, communication is key.
So talk about that, because that's a fancy word that I feel like most of us can barely spell, let alone practice.
Yeah.
Like, what communication has worked well for you?
Telling people how you feel. I'm having a shitty day, and check in with each other. Like, hey, how was your day? And don't just like, yeah, how was your day? I'm thinking about this hip bump sweep that Kisa taught me. It was so cool. And just like, man, this place SBG, oh my gosh. It's like actually look at your spouse and ask them, how was your day? And listen. That's another thing. Are you listening, or are you just hearing? I'll admit, we went to marriage counseling several times.
And we're on
in our
round 2 right now.
second round. We've been married for 22 years.
I highly recommend it.
I recommend it, and it's a taboo.
22 or 23?
22.
So back again, we're talking about death. What's another taboo? Marriage counseling, having counseling. Oh my gosh, we can't ask.
Yeah, seeing a therapist
Can't tell
of any
anybody.
sorts.
I was like, you just told everybody.
Well, I just did. I admit it because it works.
Yeah.
You know,
It does.
And it's totally necessary. And I'm just listening to you talk. I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I messed that one up. Because, you know, my problem is I have a shitty day and I don't want anyone to know. Or if I'm sad, I'd rather just
hold
shut
it
my
inside.
Yeah.
Cry in the shower.
And
I don't even cry in the shower anymore.
and it becomes toxic.
Yeah.
And
It
I've
builds
learned
up.
that it becomes toxic, and then
And then he blows.
something will just trigger
Yeah.
it, and you're just like, where did that come from? Who is that person? You, and it started from just, I'm having a shitty day. This happened at work, or that just made me mad, or whatever. But I'm venting it out, and she can listen. She doesn't have to give an answer. There's no answer. I just need to get it out. And same, she can come back like, hey, my boss said this other teacher, this parent, this kid, whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right.
And the other important thing is don't try to fix it.
Yeah, I
That's
was going to
what-
say that's
Yeah.
a really big deal. I sometimes don't
Yeah.
tell Travis what's going on because I don't need to hear his useless solutions.
You need to do this. This is what you need to do next time.
Right. 'Cause
I've given up on trying to fix her.
But I made that mistake of trying to
put that on the docket for marriage counselors.
I was just going to say, put that on the notes.
But see, and I think with my job, that was a hard one for me because somebody calls because they have a problem, you know, like they're not calling like Olivia and he said, hey, I had a great day. I just want to call 911, let you know that. And it's like,
Did you see the rainbow?
okay, have a great day. Thanks. You know, it's like, no, they're
Just wanted to call and say thanks. You guys work really hard. We appreciate everything you do.
Yes. So you're dealing with the problem, and that in my very first sheriff, that's what we said. You're a problem solver. People are having a problem. You're trying to, like, in 5 minutes, maybe try to help them through this problem, but then you're off to the next one, and you're off to the next one, and so when I hear somebody having a problem, it's just natural, like, oh, well, let me help you give a solution, and they're not looking for that.
Right.
And his solution of, well, just tell him to do this. Tell him to go do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I can't do that at school.
Yeah, I've often said, well,
Does it involve them?
there could be some
Kissing
profanity,
things?
Yeah.
you know, some profanity, and telling them, yeah. So
He
Can't
doesn't
do
understand why you can't say that at school.
I think those are good parameters, good kind of ground rules for communication. I mean, for anyone, but especially for intimate relationships that we have in marriage, and particularly when there's a problem. Be not only willing to communicate and willing to listen, but also be willing to just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Speak it, hear it.
Or ask
Don't
him.
try to solve it.
Or ask him, do you want?
Do you want input? Are you
Yeah.
looking for, because you've
I've gotten better.
started to do that like yesterday. I'm teasing you.
No, I have not been good at that over the last 22 years. But it's certainly something that I see value in now. And I've definitely made big strides in that direction because it's coming from a place of love.
Of course.
Like, it's like I hear somebody that I care about is hurting, or I see that they're struggling. And so my natural instinct is, well, let me jump in and see if I can help take this sorrow away, or let me see if I can jump in and, you know, help get rid of some of the stress, not knowing that that's not actually what they're even interested in.
And there's been times that I said to Aaron, I just need to tell you something. I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to hear me.
And that pre-frame helps because then, oh, okay, now I can listen better. If that's not really a good word, but you know, like.
But
and
we
just
work
listen.
at it every single day.
And
have to
another
work at
tip I'd give for
marriage.
marriages is having a calendar and actually penciling in, like, your vacation, or we're gonna go
nights.
date night, or we're gonna do something, and just do it. Like, go book well, COVID screwed a lot of that, but if you could book a restaurant reservation, just do it and be like, yeah, we're going out. Boom, it's done. And then, hey, maybe there was something you have to adjust, but do that and put it on the calendar. Like, we're going to Glacier Park this day. We're going to go to take the kids to Silverwood, and whatever it's going to be. If you don't put that on the calendar, next thing you know, where'd the summer go, and you didn't do anything. And
Right.
And men, hear this. The best thing is when the husband comes to you or the boyfriend comes to you and says, hey, I got this planned. I just need you to be there. And it's like, oh,
Like for
I
our
don't have to-
anniversary.
I don't have to plan anything. I don't have to get someone to
I don't
watch
have
the
to do
kids.
it. Yeah.
It's all
I
booked.
got it sorted. It's booked.
It's amazing.
Pack your bag.
Yeah,
Show up.
we've been doing a
Lingerie only.
lot better with that lately,
swimsuit.
for sure.
And it's hard. I mean,
lots of little
maybe
trips.
margarita
And
have we slipped? Yes, we have
yeah.
slipped, and it's like then we're like, oh, we need to get back to what. There we go. We're
happens.
slipping a little bit. Just get back into that grind.
yeah, we just booked another trip again for April.
Good.
Yeah, to Quinn's.
Yeah,
Oh, I tried to get that, and it's booked out until
Yeah,
June.
we got a gift certificate, so we wanted to do that.
it's awesome. That's one of our favorite things.
Yeah. That was a late night sort of, fuck it, I'm calling right now. Damn it, I did it again. Sorry.
Where's the jar? Put the money in the
Good
jar.
thing, good thing Olivia's not here because she will learn that vocabulary.
Oh, and
Goodness.
she'll call you out on it. If
I'm
you
sure.
If you swear, she will call you out.
I'm sure.
How about
she will.
what about the dynamic between Mackenzie and
Yeah.
Olivia? Because like with our kids, that was something that I always kind of concerned me a little bit. But then now I see as our kids have grown into adults, they're like best friends, all four of them.
And they
they're
all
like
really look out for Ted.
they know what to watch for. Like they've grown up with him, but not only that, but they all hang out. I'm not saying they always hang out and do the right thing because
Beer pong.
I heard
beer pong
about
at my house and
the sticky floors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
but it is reassuring, I think, as parents, like when you see your children becoming friends with each other and actually enjoying each other's company and stuff like that. And that was I never knew how that would work out, because like my brother's like my best friend. He'll be here tomorrow, and
Oh, nice.
so
Yeah, we're not there yet.
no, still love it.
I'll speak.
Yeah.
I think they are siblings and they fight like any siblings would. I think the hardest one I've had to talk to Mackenzie about, she'll get upset because she feels like Olivia might get away with a little bit more
Yeah.
when she's acting out or not listening or not picking up, and I have to explain to her, it's because of her cognitive delay. It's not that I'm trying to treat her differently. I just have to take a different approach, and it's hard for her sometimes to kind of understand that, because you're like, why are you being so hard on me and not her? So we have to have those conversations, and I always just keep bringing that home so she knows, and that communication's helped a lot, I think.
Yeah.
We had, before Ted's brain surgery, he had a neuropsych evaluation, and during the middle of the neuropsych evaluation, I'm like playing solitaire on my phone. It's an 8-hour evaluation. And halfway through, they stop, give him a break, which they don't normally do, because they felt so compelled to come and tell me that he was suicidal. And he was 13 at the time. He was so deeply depressed and suicidal. And she wanted me to, it was a Friday, and she wanted me to get on the phone right now and book someone for him to talk to when we got back to town on Monday. And of course, I was like, what the shit? So
One more thing.
Oh God, it's bad. Like this isn't bad enough. But so Ted started in therapy in February. He had brain surgery he started therapy in January.
Brain
surgery
surgery's
in April. And I,
Good
of course,
Friday.
immediately started a month later, month after he did. And I'll never forget walking into Cindy's office to schedule the next appointment. And she said, hey, so how are you doing? And I was like, I'm fine. And I stared at her and sucked the tears back in. And she shut the door and she said, how about we schedule something for you? And I, of course, the second she shut the door, I melted. But I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity to speak to her, and not just about like what's happening in my life, but what was happening for me as a mother of a child who's growing into an adult, who's now going to have a part of his brain cut out, who's probably going to have seizures for the rest of his life. It felt like everything was stacked against me, and I was so sad about just that.
What did you do?
Well, and then on top of it, I got 3 other kids who I can't necessarily ignore, but I feel like all of my resources need to go into Ted. And one of the best things that came out of that was that she reassured me, and she said, listen, studies have shown and history has shown that kids who grow up with siblings who have special needs end up being far better off then in terms of being more compassionate, more responsible, more self-sufficient, like they just are more mature than siblings of kids who are siblings where one of the sibling has a drug problem or something that's self-inflicted or has the appearance of being self-inflicted rather than something that was just dealt. And that was such an important distinction for me to make because, number one, I just sighed and I thought, okay, I don't have to control everything. I don't have to be perfect. Some of this is going to play out the way it needs to play out. And I could have a little faith in my kids. And I could have a little faith in the kind of household that we've created, that it's a household that is, although it's active and there's a lot of F-bombs from me, it's still a household that's full of love. And that's what I see. What happens behind your closed doors, I'm sure rivals any other family, special needs or not. But what I see is that Mackenzie at the gym, she's caretaking. She's looking out for her little sister. She's also being kind, but being firm. Like, I don't see her rolling her eyes and pitching Olivia to the wolves.
No, she watches like a hawk. She knows what's going on.
I remember her coming up to me one day after school, and she said, "Mom, I just have to cry." And I'm like, "Why?" And she said, "Olivia wasn't playing with anybody outside."
Oh.
And so she, as a 5th grader, her and her friends went and played with Olivia.
Those are the kinds of kids we want to raise, special needs or not.
And then Mackenzie got to the middle school and she said, "Mom, I saw a kid at his locker the other day and he has special needs." She goes, "I don't know what it is, but he had special needs." And I said, "Did you smile and wave to him?" She said, "Yeah, I did." And do you know how many kids just walk by?
Of course.
Or worse yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that made me think earlier when you were talking about just being, you had plans.
Yeah.
And then the rug was ripped out from under you. I think it's a mistake that we make with even our developmentally, there's a term for that. The regular kids.
Yeah.
Neuronormal, that's what they call it in our world. But with the regular kids, with the ones who don't have special needs, we make, I think, the same mistake, that they're born and we have this idea of who they should be, and we stick with that idea because there's no doctor that says, "No, your idea is wrong."
Yeah. And
that's one thing that I have definitely learned from being a parent of special needs is, wait a second, I had this idea of what my first son was going to be like, what my first child was going to be like, and now that's not going to come true. Wait a second. Why do I think that I know what my other kids are going to be like? Why do I think that I know what their personalities are going to be, or what their strengths are, what their challenges are going to be, and who they are? We think with every child that we're planning a trip to Italy, and with every child we're actually going to Holland or Brazil.
I don't speak Portuguese.
Or Costa Rica.
Or Costa Rica.
he said, "Do you ever remember going to the grocery store, going out to the store and going, 'Oh, I hate that mom. Look at her. Kids are perfect.'"
No, I never said I hate that mom. Her kids are perfect. I would say, what the hell, Nikes is wrong with me?
Yeah. I remember.
Why can't I get my shit together? Why do I suck so bad?
Yeah.
I don't think I really hated the mom. Did I hate the mom?
I don't know if I hated the mom, but I remember looking at them like, that's not fair. Why does she get to have 10 kids and all of them are fine?
Yeah.
And then
for sure.
And every once in a while, I still bring myself there. But then I remember how blessed I am to have her.
But that's just it.
And what we've learned from, and how much richer my life is, and how much, you realize the entire Growing Gorillas program was created. We created that based on our experiences with Ted, based on occupational therapy and physical therapy and child development milestones. And okay, what can we do for this kid who has sensory issues? What can we do for this kid who really needs help with his left and right, because the whole right side of his brain is scar tissue? And so jiu-jitsu works. Okay, but not just jiu-jitsu, not just winning.
There's the social emotional aspect of it
Absolutely.
too, which is huge.
Lining up, learning teamwork, being part, taking orders from a coach, learning relationships, how to have a relationship with an adult that's not your parents, and that's helped us even with the other 3 kids. I mean, how many times have we called Coach Leah or Coach Gus and been like, I really need you to talk to Joe. So
yeah, like Mackenzie, like she is like going down these pathways of like she likes this and she likes this and like that, and we had no idea, she would gravitate to whatever her likes are and her own person. And that's with every kid. All your children are going to be different, like certain things.
Yeah, I think sometimes as parents, we view our children as miniature versions of ourselves. And it's not until we finally realize, and I only bring this up not because know what I'm talking about, but Christmas this year was when it finally hit home to me, and I was like, man, like I realized that my sons were like my peer group now almost, and it was like, oh, and they're better than me at certain things, and they're
poker.
Yeah, Ricky took like $250 off me at Christmas, but that's okay. Payback's coming this weekend.
All right.
Okay, but it is strange because at some point you finally realize that, okay, wait, that little person is their own little person, just like I'm my own person. But I think for a long time with your kids, it's like, oh, this is like my doll, or this is, I get to raise this and
my mini-me.
Exactly. And they're just not like, I mean, and talk about a frustrating experience. If you think you're going to be able to mold and control and steer your child into being what it is that you haven't envisioned for them, you're going to be heartache city, because that's just not the way it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was, Joe'd still be doing jiu-jitsu.
I feel like he does jiu-jitsu in his head.
Okay.
But he's a songwriter. He's a poet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They do their own thing.
He's kind of a fashionista too.
Olivia makes people smile.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. Tells me where to put my shoes and not put my shoes.
Comes in and eats candy in front of me.
Yeah.
Then she tells me, yeah, I'm not allowed to have sugar. And I say, Olivia, I just watched you drink 2 sodas the other day. And don't tell Kisa that we were at the brewery when you had them either.
We're having coffee.
Just coffee.
It was coffee.
Beer flavored coffee.
That's the only time she gets soda.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it
Because when
keeps her
Daddy has beer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I have a beer, she has a root beer. So.
Well, we should probably get to our questions.
Our questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Do you remember them?
Kind of. Okay. I feel like it's a high point.
You guys each get to answer this for yourselves. It's not a couple's answer. So it's a parenting high point. So like think of a moment where you feel like you did parenting right, like something, whatever it is, a moment in time where you're like, you know what? I nailed parenting today. And then this one's always easier to answer, at least for me. When you just totally screwed the pooch. Where you're just like, man, I sucked ass at parenting today. Like that was a total fail. I have a lot of those.
Yeah, those are easy.
Those are easy, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of. I'll start with the negative. Like a failure for me is when a couple times where I yelled. I like yelled drill instructor style.
Did you cuss when you yelled?
Yes, and you think that's getting through the mush brain and into the child's head to say this is, and you're angry, you're showing your anger, you just lost it, you're conditioned black, you were not doing anything right. And then you feel bad about it later. You're like, that is not setting the example. I'm not doing my own advice to people in life. And then so recently with Mackenzie, cell phones, boys, all those things are coming up. So we took care of this problem.
That was my failure.
But I sat down and we had a conversation where I didn't raise my voice. I didn't get angry. And
did you flare your nostrils like that though when you were talking?
Maybe a little bit. But
she focuses on nostrils because I flare mine too.
But it was a real focused, no fluff conversation, and it got through. It really did. And
how did you know it got through?
Behavior changed. The behavior did change, and she knew I was. you can yell and scream and throw a tantrum in a sense, but you're not communicating. But when I sat down, communicated, and it was like just that laser beam. She knew I wasn't joking, and it really sunk in, and I didn't have to swear, I didn't have to cuss, but the expectations and why I was disappointed and those trust issues and all the things that we had to deal with that issue, and it was handled. And didn't let her off the hook. That's the other one. It's like, it's not like, oh, I'm sorry for today and we're good back to normal. No, there was long consequences, and she had to earn all that back, and she's still working on it.
Still earning them.
And we're seeing positive things. We're seeing good behavior now. So that's
Good. Okay. Hi.
Well,
Hello.
my failure was right alongside that one. So Aaron's away at training, and I'm at home with the girls, and I get a call that
That's right. I was in
that
Florida.
Mackenzie has like a boyfriend at school, and there's
Wait, who'd you get the call from?
a teacher.
A teacher friend or a teacher
No.
calling professionally or personally?
Professionally.
And teacher to teacher.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say much more.
Okay.
But I was like, crap, I have to deal with this on my own because he's not here. But my failure was I trusted her too much that I didn't check her phone. I didn't check her messages. And now look where we're at. Had I paid attention to those, maybe we wouldn't have got to where we were.
So let me try to reframe this. You trusted her too much for where you retrospectively see that her developmental maturity is at. Is that what you mean?
Well, I trusted her in the sense that she wasn't, I didn't think she was getting into trouble. I didn't think she was texting boys. I didn't think that she was using her phone late at night.
Because we gave ground rules at the beginning, and we say we're going to trust you that. Well, there's that line, and it was let's just jump.
Hormones.
I just got busy.
Hormones.
Yeah.
And
I trusted her.
We didn't check up and that's another thing.
It was a failure. on my
Parenting
part.
tips for these little things here. You can get in there and put parental controls on these, and so I Googled and started figuring out how to do it, and that's what we did. So we put a bunch of restrictions on it. So now I'm in control of that, and I can. And I didn't realize I could do that, and so I dived into that, and that's what you have to do because there's a lot of pitfalls with these dang things. So,
Okay.
How about a
What's your
success?
high?
My high is also related to school. At teacher parent conferences, they all just said how respectful Mackenzie is. What a great leader she is. They talked about how responsible she is, how kind she is to other students. And it's like, wow. And they, several of the teachers said, you're doing a great job raising her. And I'm like,
Awesome.
and it
That feels
felt so good.
Yeah.
yeah.
You just got to keep at it.
I'll add another positive just from my, let's throw a positive for Olivia,
Yeah.
is that, she's continuing to develop and get better with her reading, her writing, and working as a team with the school and those teachers, and we're doing stuff at home, and Courtney will get on me, hey, it's time to read with Olivia. All right, because you're like, you want to do other things, but no, I have to do these things with her to make her better. It's not about me, it's about her. And so we work on that. And it's tough, but she's getting better because we put the work in. A lot of parents would just do the minimum or nothing. So.
And she's an amazing skier. She starts skiing
Really?
again tomorrow. She loves skiing.
That's fantastic.
She's so good at it. So good. I wish you could see her.
Okay, and then the
Take video.
last question. If you could give one piece of advice to parents, just one.
Doesn't have to be new parents either. It can be any parent. Because obviously you both have interactions with parents in your line of work as well.
Yeah.
Your lines of work.
Mine is read to your children. Read to your children. There are
love
so
that.
many, especially even if you're pregnant. I remember reading to my baby while I was pregnant. And when they were just itty bitty, when I was nursing, I would read to them. It's just their vocabulary. It's amazing what reading can do.
I love that advice.
You can't get it every day, but try for at least 5 to 6 times a week.
I love it.
Yeah, that's good. Spending time. That's another way of just spending time with your kids. And that builds good relationships. Same question for me. I would say you need to take a little time for yourself as well. I think we forget. I've done that where I'm so all in on the family and so worried about everybody else's needs that I'm like, I didn't take care of myself. And then that's back to that communication. It's like, I need to go work out, or I need to go do this, or I need to go have a guys' night or something, or just go for a walk around the block myself. Whatever that is for you, make sure you communicate with your partner, and you'll be a better parent because you are taking care of yourself. You know what, emotionally and physically too, you know, and think about your health. You want to be there for a parent long term. Take care of yourself. You know, put the garbage down and take care of yourself.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. We'll give you a heads up next time that there's video.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You look beautiful,
Speaking of marriage counseling, tell me about this.
I didn't think you'd come.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today. If you want more information about the Growing Gorillas Martial Arts Program for kids, please visit growinggorillas.com.
And if you're interested in finding an SBG near you in the state of Montana, please visit us at sbgmontana.com.
See you soon.
Stay cold, Pony Boy.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Catch you on the flip-flop.
Catch you on the flipper, dipper.
After a while, crocodile.
I don't know anymore.
See you later, alligator.